guys, welcome back to the Agree or Die podcast. We got Eric Hart and me together. We're going a little late today because Eric was way late at work. It's actually like 11:30.
Yeah.
We're starting a bit late, but we're night owls.
We still got it.
We
got
can
the
handle
energy. I got the coffee. Coffee at 11:30 p.m. What can happen?
I got some booze, so I think we're rocking and rolling. A lot of stuff's happened since last time we podcasted. Mostly France got terrorized.
Yeah, that was... When was that now?
Was that last week, last Friday.
Last Friday. Did you talk about that last week?
No, we didn't.
No podcast
We didn't
last
podcast last week. So
Okay.
This is the first time. This is our first chat.
I feel like we're late. I feel like we'll be a week late when this comes out.
Well,
people want to hear...
Well, it'll come out. It'll come out on Monday, and but I mean, yeah, we're not
I don't know.
breaking news by any means, but
No.
you get breaking news from the news. You get insight from the Agree or Die podcast.
There you go.
So yeah, that's too bad about France.
France and Lebanon.
See, now there's a lot of terrorist attacks that happen, and we don't know about a lot of them.
Yeah.
Whose fault is that? It's all the media's fault a bit. It's our fault for not caring a bit.
Well, so let's talk about the whole issue with people and the support for France, prayers for France, all this stuff, and then people that read maybe BBC or some other world journals go, hey, there was a bombing that killed 60 people a day before or something in Lebanon. Mm-hmm. Why aren't you guys saying anything about that? And I think that argument comes from a place that I think it's a bit unfair, and I think of it this way because France is part of the West, and I don't see Lebanon as necessarily being part of the West. I think we have the connections to France. We have the history with France. We have France is a big ally of ours, right? So I think when we hear about France and we don't hear about Lebanon, it's not because the mainstream media, doesn't want to sell you papers because they don't think you'll care about Lebanon, which might be slightly true. Mm-hmm. But I think it's just more of our relationships in the world.
It's it's bigger news when. Yeah, they're our friends.
France is like it's like our brother-in-law.
Right.
And then somebody's coming in and going like, well, my coworker also got mugged last week.
Yeah, why don't you care about your coworker? It's like, I do care, but...
We are sympathetic to that, but I think it's just it comes down to our relationship more than anything else. I think that's that was kind of a gotcha criticism, but it's right that we should, be aware of more of those
things.
Right,
we should. But, there's terrorist attacks all the time. Somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I bet daily there's a terrorist attack somewhere, in the Middle East especially, all the time. That's what the refugees are trying to escape from, is constant terrorist attacks. We don't hear about all of them because we're desensitized. If you hear about, Beirut terrorist attack, what are you doing? Why are you making phone noises?
I'm trying to turn the thing off. Jeez.
Come on, you know I'm in the middle of a fucking pontification?
It's been a couple weeks. I'm rusty.
So you hear about Beirut bombings and stuff, and you're like, okay, another one?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I'm getting desensitized to police killing people in the streets.
Right.
I mean, eventually it's just like, okay, how many stories can we have? And they keep on happening, and then all of a sudden, one of our, let me put in quotes, a good country, one of us.
Yeah.
It's all of a sudden one of us is getting terrorized, and that's bigger news. It makes sense. And then you got all these people who are. So this segues perfectly into one of my topics, which is on Facebook. I've been very active on Facebook lately, fighting with people mostly.
Yeah. You've been throwing down left and right.
I know. I've been. It's like a hobby of mine now. Is just Facebook fighting. But
you've been taking advantage of the public setting on people's posts. I think I've seen some other people doing the same. But if somebody posts something that's public and then your buddy likes it or your buddy comments on it, you can get in on it. Yep. You don't even know the original poster, and there you are, stirring it up. And so maybe they'll learn your name, Alex Krasny. Don't let this kid. Don't let this kid come around.
So on Facebook, if you're not on Facebook, you'll see everybody has this French flag overlay over their photo to show support for France. Something that Facebook lets you do. It's just click this button and you get it. I'm not doing it because it's kind of like whatever, but people are doing it, and that's fine. It just shows here's what people don't get. People they hate it. They hate this thing, and they make fun of people, and they shame people for using it.
They think it's like hashtag activism, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess maybe sometimes it might be, but a lot of the times, here's what it is. It's you saying, hey, France, sorry about your loss. That's too bad. I'm thinking about you. That's what it's saying.
And I almost disagree slightly with that analysis.
What do you mean?
I don't think anyone expects France or anybody French to see it or to care. I think it's really more of a personal. I think it's for ourselves,
Sure. I mean,
and I think that's where it has a benefit, and I think that is a benefit to have I feel bad and I want, and you feel somewhat connected. You're not a French person, that's fine. You're not trying to take advantage and say, oh, I want to feel like a victim too, and I want to be, I want to be with France and stuff. No, I think it's just more like, I feel good, just doing some sort of gesture. You're not sending flowers to a funeral, but at the same time, you're doing a gesture, I think, that makes you feel that you're participating, in that sense where it's not something for other people to see. I really don't think it's something that people are bragging about, or you know what I mean? Or I want my friends to see that I support France. I don't think it's that. I think it's
usually I would say it's not. I look at it like, if your uncle dies in a car accident and I say, you know what, I'm really sorry about your uncle. Mm-hmm. I'll think about him. It's not like I'm not making a difference. Nobody really cares that I feel sorry for your uncle, but it makes me feel like I'm acknowledging that something bad happened and I'm telling you that I'm sorry about it. That's kind of what I see it as. In a way, you could do that to a country. Mm-hmm. That's how I see it. It's not intended to make anything happen or incite change, right. But it's just like, yeah. And as a matter of fact, in this, so this is a meme I'm pointing at, which I'll link to. This I'm going to talk about in a second. But the equal rights overlay. Mm-hmm. Remember that one was like a red one with an equal sign. Yep. That was around a couple years ago.
That was the marriage equality.
I had no idea what was going on.
Okay.
I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then all of a sudden Facebook got flooded by these things, and finally I asked somebody who had one, why do you have this overlay? What's going on? And they told me about it. So. I mean, in the case of France, I knew about it, pretty quickly. Yeah. But in some cases, maybe somebody didn't know about it. Maybe they don't have TV, or they don't watch. They weren't on Twitter, and they don't know what happened. It's actually a pretty good activism of spreading awareness.
It did spread awareness. Now you knew about the movement as it was. You didn't know about this overlay, but
right.
It is good. There are going to be people that will, they'll inquire about it.
Yeah.
And partially probably because they want to get, if it's cool, they want to get in on it. And they kind of go, what are you doing that for? What don't I know about that's cool right now? And then
that's a good reason. That's a fine reason to do it, I think.
Not everything, I don't think, has to be a thesis, and everything has to be a complete argument where I support this for all these reasons. Sometimes you just do stuff like that, and sometimes popularity just...
And then you do it, and then these fucking guys come out, or ladies, and they shame people for doing it. And they post these anti-memes. I'm like, I painted my face French, so I did my part. It's like, nobody's saying that. And fuck you for shaming people for doing that. Like, fuck you. Like, there's people who are, lost their families and shit, and then people are like, I support France, and they're posting French photos, and then you're a fucking asshole going, fuck you for posting French photos. Fuck you.
And that's where I say it's something that I think it's personal to people, where they're not doing it for other people. They're doing it, I think, for themselves. I think just like, if you go, and this might be a slight stretch, but you go to say you participate in a protest or a demonstration, right?
Okay.
Your presence is there, but you're not, sitting there taking selfies. You don't want all your friends to see that you're there. You don't necessarily have to be interacting, but it is basically like you're participating in that. You know what I mean? And so I don't think it's a show. Some people, maybe it's a show. Look at me.
I think it's a little disingenuous to say it isn't for others when it's on Facebook, and the whole point of it is to present to others something. It is. I would say it's only for others. You're sitting there making a conscious choice to go, I'm going to change my face to a French overlay so everybody knows that I care about France. I think there is definitely that. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it. If it's for yourself, you mourn in peace. You don't put it out in public in Facebook.
But I think it's a collective. Not everything has to be personal and private. Sometimes you're saying we're all. I'm taking part
solidarity. You're holding hands with people who care. You can identify others who.
But you're not doing it because you want some guy to log in from France and say, oh, Alex Krasny's got an over. It's not about. I don't think it's about showing anybody.
I mean, France is. Nobody's under the impression that France cares.
Yeah.
No one's under the impression that ISIS is scared.
It's like back in the day when you wear a yellow ribbon. When remember people would pin ribbons if there's a missing child.
Or if there was a car accident or something?
People would, you would all kind of put something up that shows that, this is on my mind, and we're all kind of concerned about this right now.
And that's fine.
And I think that's the modern version of those old, the ribbons. Or the AIDS ribbon, on Seinfeld or something else. But I remember they used to do that all the time. The yellow ribbons. Jacob Wetterling, all the different missing kids. There was always...
I don't remember, but I believe you. There was a meme, this meme right here, where it says, in quotes, the "I'm clueless yet I pretend to care" starter pack.
I like the starter pack memes. I really enjoy them. That one is.
This is the worst.
That's not very.
And on it are 4 overlays: the French overlay,
yep.
the LGBT overlay,
the
rainbow overlay, the equal rights, marriage equality overlay, and the Confederate flag overlay.
Because that happened too. That was a thing.
And I was like, I mean, the fact that the Confederate flag overlay is involved in this.
Okay, but tell me this: how is the French flag? How is that overlay clueless? What do you have no idea what was actually happening in Germany? Like, what's clueless?
You're
about?
Clueless about.
Oh, I have no idea that there was a terrorist.
You're
thing?
clueless
No,
about marriage equality. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah,
You have the overlay though. Like, what the fuck? What is it even saying?
Yeah.
It's such bullshit.
I think it's really trying to call out the people that just do it to do it, and I don't think there's that many.
Most people, that's not most people.
I think
and you're
most people
everyone
know.
else.
Yeah, most people have a great idea about what they're.
So fuck you assholes who are anti people who are showing sympathy for France.
That's the internet, though, huh? That's what we get to deal with every week.
Yep. So let me talk about another Facebook meme that pissed me off today.
Okay.
It's kind of barely related to the French thing, but it's about politics. This is Alex Durant, this fuckface who me and him fight constantly, like very constantly.
Okay.
His
but
name's Alex
he's shared a photo now. When I'm looking at this here, this is another one. This is like one of the forwarded email type of things that you see. I really would love to see who these people are that write these things. That's my aside before we get into this because
I'll read it here though. So it's posted from the Facebook group Veteran Against ISIS.
Cool face. I've seen a lot of stupid Facebook group names. I think you can make a page with any name. Somebody liked something a couple of weeks ago that was like sarcasm, and then it said noun, and then it like gave the definitions of sarcasm, and that was the entire group name. It was like a full definition as a page name. Sure. And because they shared some stupid meme from it.
Yeah.
I don't know where these things come from, but I thought that was the dumbest group name I've ever seen. Like it wrote out the whole page title had the definition for sarcasm in it. It was just ridiculous. I don't know. It wasn't even related to sarcasm. It's just these groups are so dumb. That's another.
All right. Anyway, I'm reading it right now. I'm reading it. For those who have to deal with idiots who don't believe in retaliation against ISIS. 1. Engage in conversation and ask if military force is appropriate. When he says no, ask why not. Wait until he says something to the effect of using violence against violence doesn't solve anything. When he's in mid-sentence, punch him in the face as hard as you can. When he gets back up to punch you, point out that it would be a mistake, contrary to his values, to strike you, because that would be awful and he should not cause more violence. Wait until he agrees, and he has pledged not to commit additional violence. Punch him in the face again, harder this time. Repeat steps 5 through 7, which is let him get back up and punch him again, until he understands that sometimes it is necessary to punch back. Checkmate.
Oh, there's a checkmate at the end of this one.
Checkmate, period. I feel like when you're saying checkmate, you don't actually need the period. You know? Like, checkmate is strong enough without the period behind it.
Right. Well... So here's the thing.
Sorry, dog problems.
You always have dog problems. We need a new studio. Let's get a Kickstarter going for a dog-free space.
Patreon, we need a new studio.
Soundproof booth. Okay, so...
What do you got to say?
I don't know. What do you want to say?
Well, here's what I want to say. This is... Okay.
This is just like... What do you call it? It's like a fantasy. It's like a wet dream for people that like to stick it to people. Everyone knows somebody that likes to stick it to people.
The argument this is making is that there are people who think violence isn't the answer, and this is calling those people stupid because of this ridiculous example. Now, I guess if me and you are having a disagreement and I kill you, violence has solved that disagreement.
Yes, sure.
Essentially, that I won, and you don't get to argue anymore. So yeah, violence essentially can solve anything.
Right.
However, me punching Eric in the face is very, very different from us taking out ISIS. This is the thing with terrorism, is like, okay, well, first off, who's against taking out ISIS?
Well, and I just don't, I guess there's people that could argue that we shouldn't, there's people that say we shouldn't commit ground troops because then we'll just get stuck in a war. It's not the right tactic. But this is creating one. What's your fallacy here? Where they're just creating an argument? Was it a straw man? Not even a straw man. What is it?
Well, I don't know what this
begging
is.
the question or something.
This is just so fucked. This analogy means. The argument is we should definitely attack ISIS. And the support is this fucking ridiculous anecdote, which is bullshit. So let's discuss it. The thing about terrorism is it's hard to fight against. If we could just beat ISIS, we'd beat ISIS. Yeah. We're much more powerful than ISIS. But you can't, because who do you bomb? Who do you go get? All the Muslims? Yeah. The entire Middle East? Yeah. You just attack Iraq? And then we go and we just start bombing what we think is ISIS. Oh, we think ISIS is there. Bomb it with our drones. Then we kill a bunch of Iraqis on accident. Then Iraq's like, yo, America, you're just bombing our people. Stop. We're like, oh no, we thought it was ISIS. And they're like, well, it wasn't. It was a bunch of fucking kids.
Yeah.
And then we're the fucking terrorists over there. You can't just get ISIS. So anybody who's saying we shouldn't take action, be specific. What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, and that's
full invasion of the Middle East.
That's what I see with a lot of equivalent mindsets here with these. Is like everything is just simple as well. You just like almost kind of when we talk about Donald Trump sometimes. I would make China make deals with me. I would just make them do it. I'd tell them, here's the deal. And that's just, and there's some of that too with like, well, why don't we just go bomb them, or why don't we, there's all this very, I don't know, elementary level thought here where it's just, oh, it's easy. You fight them.
You just throw a nuke in the Middle East and it's solved.
Yeah, and anytime that maybe you come in with an argument of, well, that's not going to work because, well, then they kind of look at it as you just are don't opposed. Yeah, you're opposed to whatever their simple.
You don't want to stop ISIS, so.
It's not the depth of thought in some of those. Just it's so shallow. But it's surprising. It's surprising to see how many people kind of share those sentiments and really don't explore.
They can't. Their brains are too small. They can't. They can't get there.
I couldn't tell you what the answer is for that. I've thought about it a lot. I say, why is it that I can't get through to people? You ever bang your head against the wall? You've argued with a lot of people.
Oh my god, are you kidding me?
Where it's just kind of like, what was it? I saw. Maybe you posted it the other day. I saw a picture where it was just, you get so upset at when somebody just can't understand the simple concept that you're trying to lay out for them. They just cannot grasp it, no matter how you explain it. And it's one thing to have two sides and say, there's my side, here's your side, and then you can say, I understand what you're saying, but I disagree. And there's people out there that like you can't even comprehend each other's side, and so you can't even disagree with it somehow.
I would say I'm pretty good at seeing things from both sides. I do my best, and it's just a lot of times when I fight on Facebook, it's for the benefit of others. I hope that other people are reading what I'm fighting about with this person, because I'm not going to convince this fucking idiot.
Yeah.
I'm fighting with him only to express my points in a way that other people go, yep, that's the accurate way to look at it, and this guy's a fucking idiot.
And to be honest, I feel like, to kind of go back to Malone and how he hates Facebook, because he hates seeing all that stuff. He just hates seeing them arguing back and forth and people banging their heads on the wall. That's something where like your rants and your blogs might be the best place, where you just put it out there, and then people can see the one side. They don't have to. I'd get a headache reading a lot of the responses.
The thing is, like, my blog, only my people who like me and like what I say read it. Like, this guy is not going to my blog. Mm-hmm. This is a good way to reach people who are his friends, because he's got a circle of friends just like us who are just as fucking stupid, who just circle jerk each other about how we need to go nuke the Middle East. Mm-hmm. And they never think twice about it, except for, they glad hand each other and give each other fucking hand jobs watching, military movements. But now when I have a fight with him and they see that, maybe they'll get a glint of like what it actually looks like to see it from a different point of view. Just a fucking one little fucking glint of it,
How about those refugees though, huh?
Yeah, man.
Everybody wants to.
Let's talk about. I saw. We'll start this for sure, but let me talk about the funniest meme I've seen anybody share.
Okay.
That confused the fuck out of me. It made my head spin. Now I had to look at it for such a long time. It showed an American colonial and a Native American.
Oh, sure, I've seen this. This was a popular one, yeah.
Yeah, and the Native American, and they're both like, I don't know who's giving who what, but they both have their hands on a turkey. Like a cooked turkey, like Thanksgiving time. And shit, fuck, man. Okay, start talking. I'm gonna try to find it.
Wasn't it? What if they turn out to be like religious fanatics or something?
Yeah. Don't let them in. What if they turn out to be religious fanatics? That'll, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is this an argument that I couldn't get? I didn't get what he was saying.
It was being shared ironically by people who are apparently, that I saw, were in support. They were making fun of the people that don't want Syrian immigrants here, because they're kind of saying, it was really weird, because they were saying it like we did the same, like, we were dangerous too. We got let in the country. But then I thought it later, like, I thought, well, that's an argument against.
Then we shouldn't let them in.
Yeah, because they could attack us. Like,
because the argument is like, don't let them in because remember when they let us in, we fucking killed them all and gave them biological diseases.
Yeah, that was one where I just at first you're like, that's funny, and then. Or that's ironic.
You're like, wait,
and then later you're like, wait
a minute. We shouldn't let them in at all because they let us in. We fucking tossed their country.
I'm sure a couple Syrians will take over America.
Man, that's fucking crazy. Just... That meme though, I kept looking at it. I'm like, is this saying we were once refugees too, and they gave us a chance?
Yeah, that was it.
Or are you saying?
But then we got wrecked.
Last time this country accepted refugees, the refugees took it over. Like what? But anyway, go ahead, talk about it.
Okay, so. I think I always kind of assume that most of your listenership doesn't need to be rehashed on some of these big things that have been happening. I mean, this is front page news.
Yeah, well,
all these governors that and even mayors and all these people that really just want to. I'll instruct my government my civic leaders to suspend all support for any refugees from Syria and all this stuff. I mean, the big thing for me, and maybe I'll get right to it, is that. What I'm most concerned about is how would you feel if you work for the Department of Homeland Security or anybody that's in charge of weeding out terrorists and make sure they don't think about Border Patrol, think of all those guys. So we constantly have immigrants coming to this country, constantly have refugees that apply from different locations and everything, right?
Sure.
They all get screened, do they not? What do they just go, oh, come on in, guys.
Yeah, it's not like they don't just boat up.
Okay, and so for a long time, up until maybe if you want to call the Boston Marathon bombings and Islamic terrorism, George Bush or the GOP for a while, they're all saying after 9/11, we haven't had another attack. Like our policies have been so good that we've prevented another attack on U.S. soil. Basically they might do bombs out in Iraq and Baghdad, try to do suicide vests and stuff at checkpoints and things. But on American soil, we haven't had another attack. And then they tout that as that we're strong on national defense. Okay, so they tout that and they tout that. And now what happens? These people, they go, oh, some Syrian refugees. What if terrorists sneak in with them? And I just wonder, you don't think we got people that's their job? That's their whole career. That's been their career since 9/11 is anybody come in this country, they go, we're going to make sure Al-Qaeda, we're going to make sure all these guys don't come through. You think they don't know what they're doing? To me, it's being so insulting. If you work for a Department of Homeland Security and all of a sudden people people come out and start saying this like you're incompetent. Like we have no way to stop these people.
Yeah.
That we have no way to figure out if these people are terrorists
and
or not.
If I was a terrorist and I wanted to sneak in, I would not sneak in that way. Because how obvious would it be to check those guys? You know what I mean? I would sneak in as like a French citizen.
I mean, to me, that's just the thing where you're kind of people just they don't think about it. It's just this. It's just kind of jingoistic.
Well, their thing is these people's thing is, if I take zero risk, that's better than taking any amount of risk.
Let me talk about better safe than sorry for a second, because I hate. This is one of my biggest pet peeves lately is better safe than sorry.
Sure.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. If you're going to move to, say we had to flee America for whatever reason.
Okay.
And we're going to go to pick a country. China? I don't know.
That's where we're going to go?
Sure. Maybe we'll go to China. It sounds like,
I'll go to Sweden if I could choose.
We can go to Sweden. Okay. Sweden says, citizenry starts saying, we don't want those dirty Americans. They could be this.
They got too many guns. They got too many guns. They're terrible. They're violent. They're gonna just welch. They're gonna come in and rob our stores with their guns. Yeah. And that's all you got, right? Was that the Swedish people just fucking hate your guts. Huh? That's interesting. Maybe I don't want to go to Sweden anymore. Maybe I shouldn't go there because everybody hates me. I could be in danger. I could be just as much danger as I could be beat up. I could be kicked in the street. People have been attacked already. People getting their burqas pulled off. Second point with the better safe than sorry. Everybody's going. What was the first point?
The first point basically is that how safe are you if you antagonize these people to the amount we're publicly antagonizing them and basically shitting on them in the media, and you got governors, you got political leaders basically saying
we're not letting them in though.
They don't exactly. Okay, so now they're not coming here, right?
So we're safe.
We're safe,
right?
Or are we?
Okay.
Because who would you hate? If people that hate you or people that say,
so you're saying we're antagonizing the refugees, so once they settle, they're going to hate America.
They could hate us. They say, well, those guys didn't.
So we're saying it's a short-term safety, but a long-term risk.
But long-term, how's our foreign policy? What if they move back to Syria and then here comes America coming in and going like, hey guys, let's make some deals. They go, fuck you, we're going to make deals with Russia.
I would say you're. I like it. But the people that think America's strong and they don't give a fuck about these refugees or what they do afterwards, so it's not really. It doesn't really hold water for the opposing party.
So the second one.
Okay.
We don't want to. We're not going to come in and let them come in here and give them our government welfare. These refugees. We're not going to pay money to them. We're not going to give. Like Rand Paul, I think, said he wanted to pass a measure that made sure that they didn't receive any welfare if they were accepted in the country. Things like that. Okay. So here's your options as a Syrian refugee. Oh, we were going to go to America and we thought we'd have a good time, but now they're saying they won't. We're going to be in poverty. We might be homeless. We know, and those ISIS guys before we left, or when we're trying to leave, are saying they'll pay us $700 a month, huge money right now in Syria. They'll pay me $700 a month to just join them, and you know what? I won't have to blow myself up. I'll just fight. I'll just join their ranks. It's like a militia.
Be a soldier. Yeah.
Be a soldier. Boy, I could go to America and have a new life and use my skills and build up something.
Or join.
But they're not going to give me any money, so we're not going to be able to make it. Yeah. So it sounds like my best option right now is just to take this. I hate ISIS, but they're either going to kill me or I can join them and get paid. What should I do? Mm-hmm. So then there's another better safe than sorry. Let's not give them welfare and fuck our economy over. Oh, okay. Well, maybe they'll just take up ISIS on the job offer. I mean, there's things like that I just think they can happen in a few cases. It's not going to happen in every case, but the short-term idea of let's block everybody out. Let's basically tell everybody they're assholes. And that we hate them, and that they stink, and that they're probably terrorists, and that they're Muslim, and we hate Muslims, and we should ban them all. We should keep them on registries. I mean, how does that play? How would you feel if you were on the other side? You would think, wow, you'd almost think we're racist, which
Oh, I mean, we're racist as fuck.
How racist is that, right? So then, what do you think? You think, well, they're the worst. They're the last place I ever want to, any American I ever see in my life now, I'm going to hate his guts. Even if they're tourists, I'm going to spit in his food when he comes to visit rebuilt Syria. Yeah, just think about that. It's just PR. It's horrible PR. And I think that antagony over time. I mean, think about for how long we hated the French because French hate America. They're so rude to us. They hate us. They hate our tourism and all that stuff. That's like that was like an under the radar thing.
Sure.
You go there, French people might not hate you. They might serve you and everybody has a good time. But this idea that the French hate us for so long.
I mean, it's kind of a joking thing.
It is kind of, but then there's people that I believed it for a while. I thought, oh yeah, they must hate us and whatever else. But now, great, now Middle East, now half the population of the world is Muslim, thinks America is their enemy.
Here's what we're missing here in America. There's this there's a website called the Rich List. I'm just gonna pull it up actually.
The Rich List.
The Rich List.
Never heard of the Rich List.
I'll pull it up and see what happens. I've never been there. I've only heard about it. GlobalRichList.com. Let's go there. This, I believe what this does is you look at your income and you put in your location. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's just do it right now. So I'm going to put in what? US dollar? Okay. Annual net income. Let's say I'm making $40,000 a year.
Okay.
Which, in America we consider that like pretty low middle class. Let's show my result. You're in the top 0.57% richest people in the world by income. Top 1%, $40,000 salary. That's in a globally.
Globally, yeah.
To put things into perspective for you on like how we are in America here. So when we're sitting here, if you're poor in America, if you're poor here, like you're making you're some fucking boondock school teacher making $21,000 a year. Put it in, $21,000 a year. 21,000.
Well, obviously you see the flaw with this.
What's the flaw?
Well, you're not in Namibia spending your $21,000. You're spending it in America. In Namibia...
Yeah, but they don't even have the shit we have here. Like, I mean, if you made a school teacher salary in fucking Namibia, you'd be making less, and you have less things to do with it.
Sure, and stuff. I'm just saying things would be cheap. The cost of living would be totally variety. I think that if they adjusted it for like, if you could like maybe how many calories you could afford, or you know what I mean, like things in a like how healthy you could be, how healthcare costs are there.
I mean, the point of it is there's so many people that have no money
sure.
in the world that if you are just the fact that you're American at all makes you amazingly lucky.
But why aren't we just buying up property elsewhere then? Why aren't we becoming like the
the
global landlords?
I could go buy property in Namibia, but I don't know how. I mean, I'm sure I could afford a ton of property down there. What's the point? It doesn't do anything.
Well, I'm just saying if America could own every piece of land in the world because we're so rich,
I mean,
when we do it, and then all of a sudden everything would be America.
I'm not sure how to answer your question.
I'm just saying that it's what good is it if we're not
the good of this is it shows you compared to other people in the world on average that you're no matter where you are on your position, unless you're homeless, right, you're probably way better off than a random person. Like if you could hit the restart button and you could be any random person in the world, do not hit that fucking button because you're gonna be way worse than you are right now.
I like that.
Even if you're having a really hard time here, like you're really in debt and your car's breaking down, don't hit that fucking reset button because you might end up in fucking somewhere else and then you'll be in shit city. Just to put things in perspective.
You'll be literal. If you're in Bangladesh, you might literally be washing your clothes in the river that is...
So here's what. So I'm in a fight with somebody on Facebook. His name's Tory Purcell or some shit.
Do you keep like a spreadsheet of all the people you're currently in a fight with?
I mean they give me alerts when they say something. Okay. That's how I keep track. So this guy said some shit about how. Here's what he said, which is the most. I showed it to you. I told you about it at least. It was the most entitled thing I've ever heard anybody say in my entire life. He said, "Why don't these refugees just go if they want freedom so bad?"
Oh no, not this argument.
Why don't they just go fight for it like our forefathers did?
Oh, that was my other point that I missed. This is what started me on the better safe than sorry thing.
Okay.
Because let me ask you a question. What is the better safe than sorry choice if you're a Syrian refugee?
What? Wait, what?
What's the better safe than sorry choice if you're a Syrian refugee?
If you're a refugee?
If you're a refugee, what's better safe than sorry to
get out of Syria?
To run, to get out of there.
Right.
So when people make this argument like, oh, they should go fight. Oh, really? And then at the same time, you're arguing against them,
right.
letting them in because better safe than sorry? That was my original one.
Okay. So he says, why don't they go fight like our forefathers did for their country?
Okay.
And I'm like, there's so many things wrong with what you're saying right now that I'm so offended about what you're saying. First off, you are like leaning on our forefathers for giving you what you have now as if you played some part in it. Like, how fucking lucky are you that someone else had to go through the trouble of fighting for your freedom? Then now you get to sit in your fucking chair, drinking your coffee, your enema, typing on your laptop on Facebook about how the Syrian refugees should have done X instead of Y. Why don't they just do this like our forefathers did? They were brave. Say, okay, well, here's a couple of reasons. Maybe a lot of the men did, and now they're dead, and now their wives and kids have nothing. Or how about their country's shit, and they don't want it anymore. They want to move to a better place. How about that? How about fuck you? You don't get to tell these people who have to look at their house that's bombed out and look at a fucking ocean, and they'll go, you know what? I'm gonna take my 5-year-old on that fucking raft and just go and hope I make it to another side. They got to make that decision. And you're over here telling them that they should have done something else instead.
Pick up one of those guns that you have in your country. Well, wait a minute. No, that's America where we have guns. There's no. That's the other thing. People assume that they just can get access to
get a gun,
an RPG or something.
Don't fight. Yeah.
And maybe if the U.S. funds them, and then they got to find. Then you have to find what faction that you're going to fight for in the Free Syrian Army, or you're going to be with the rebels, or you can be with ISIS. It's not just you don't just walk out your door and just start shooting away like Yosemite Sam. It's very complicated, and a lot of people aren't. A lot of these people aren't even military age. The 45, maybe 50.
Well, women and children, for fuck's sake.
Right? And so their teen sons, their sons that are 17, 18 might be off fighting. But then they, who are, like I said, they're 40, a little bit older, they got other things to worry about. They might not even be soldiers. They might have health problems that keep them from doing that. I mean, even in the American Revolution, not everybody was out there fighting.
It's pointless. It's pointless. They make a choice. Yeah, they could fight. Maybe some did. But they got kids and shit. They're making a decision that they feel is best. And it's not cowardly to run away. We ran away from England, by we, I mean our forefathers. Yeah. They ran from England, because they hated it there. And they want to start their own fucking place. So I called them out. I go, this is the most privileged bullshit I've ever heard. And I gave my little speech about how, maybe they did, all the thing I just said. He comes back and says, don't ever call me privileged. You know nothing about me. I'm like, well, here's what I do know about you. You have a computer, you have a house, you have 2 kids. Let me look at your photos real quick. Oh, did you go to the zoo yesterday? The fucking zoo? Did you have a latte while you were out there? You piece of shit. You have internet. You're on Facebook wasting your fucking time, probably while you're at work because your job's your fucking cakewalk. What do you like, fucking work some government job, you piece of shit, work at a DMV? Fuck you. And you're over here typing on Facebook to me, and you dare tell me you're not privileged? What are you, a triple amputee in a wheelchair who lost your whole family and you came over from the streets? No, he's just some fucking white middle-class motherfucker who's living the easiest life in the world, and maybe he's a little tough, you know what? Maybe he's got like asthma or something. Maybe he's lactose intolerant. Fuck you.
Even so,
everything I need to know about his privilege is you're a white American and you have 2 kids who go to the zoo.
I think
compared to these refugees? Are you joking me?
I think a lot of people right now are taking, like, if you remember back when conservative talk radio Rush Limbaugh, they got really good at making liberal a 4-letter word.
What does that mean?
For a long time. A 4-letter word. I swear, a bad word. Liberal. A liberal became an insult. These liberals, right?
Okay.
I think right now, the word privilege, talking about people's privilege and telling them their privilege is like insulting them in a certain sense, and they're taking offense to it.
You know what? You got to get over
without
it,
even
guys.
understanding.
You got to fucking get over it.
What your point is?
Just to compare yourself to the plight of a refugee who has nothing and might die tomorrow. You saying, you know what? I don't want them infringing on my life. From where you stand is just so fucking. I
just don't even think
there's such a lack of.
What was it that
there.
even the number was like 10,000 Syrian refugees? You know what 10,000 is to the
zero.
population?
That's
of
how
America?
many people. That's like a quarter of the people in the Mall of America right now.
Yeah, it's four high schools. 4 suburban high schools here. It's just.
I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna share this.
And to act like these people. And that's the other thing. If these people are people that are able to make it out with the clothes on their back and maybe a little bit extra, and they're able to make it out of Syria all the way to Europe. Like some of these people are making it all the way. You know how long this trek is, and there's no help. There's no
they die.
There's no people smuggling them through. They're just marching, and like I don't know what they're eating. I don't know what they're getting. Are they getting handouts? Are they eating grass? Like what are they doing? And you're telling me you want these people that made it all the way to Europe with just their fucking ingenuity and their drive and their passion to be safe and to live? You don't want these people in America, the home of the entrepreneur? You don't think these people would do anything for our country? You think they just leech off us? Mm-hmm. Are you kidding me?
Right.
These people are like the people. These are like the cream of the crop.
These are
the people that make it are the people that like are the best, most skilled people that we want. The people that don't.
The lazy leeches are dead.
This is survival of the fittest.
Right,
This is like America, like as its definition, as people like to define it. Where if you make it, then it's because of you're great, because your ingenuity, because you're smart, because you deserved it. So now, if they get that far, we should be going. Taking the first guy. We should be the first guy across the line.
Invite him.
Every time, first guy across the line. Oh, you made it. You did something right. The guy.
I'll tell you. You know what? I'll tell you what. I mean, my parents. I'm an immigrant. I moved to America when I was 6. Mm-hmm. I'm born in Ukraine. My parents moved me here. Russia was a shit show. We escaped Russia. If you ask my parents, they escaped the communist regime.
Soviet Russia. Right?
Yeah, 1983. I mean 1985. No, when did we move? 1987? I don't remember. Anyway, we got out of there. And. Are my parents a bunch of fucking leeches who are sucking on welfare and then dragging us down? Should they have been kept out? My parents came here with $600. That's it. $600 US. They showed up here. I mean, they had some people who moved ahead of us who helped us out, but they had nothing. They came here to speak English. Came out with whatever. They just took a chance. Just skipped over the fucking ocean. No ties. Showed up here. My dad started 6 businesses. He owns 2 houses. I mean, he's super successful from nothing. He inherited nothing. You know what I mean? He built it all through his ingenuity. It's a lot for me to live up to. I'm doing a terrible job. My dad's a great man, way better than I am. But then he's hanging out with other Russians as well. His business partners, all Russians. Multiple business owners, super successful rich guys. There's not a single low-life leech I know of the Russians I know. And the community is pretty tight-knit around here. You know what I mean? Like, they're all successful entrepreneurs. There's no leeches there.
And that's another point that I want to make. Just of my observations, just growing up here in Minnesota, I've been around places like Normandale, community college. I've been in Riverside, Cedar Riverside in Minneapolis. We've seen it. We've got a lot of Asian immigrants in Eagan where we live. Like everything that I've seen is the people that are the biggest, maybe if you want to call them leeches or welfare or whatever it might be are people that were like established here, people that are born
the
here.
entitled pricks.
Okay,
Yeah.
Like you go this way and like. How would I phrase this? So like you go to Normandale, right? And you see like it looks like half the Somali immigrant population is taking classes at Normandale. Like there's so many of like, if they're, they're what, 1% of the Minnesota population, they're like a third of the people that are going to school for higher education at Normandale that I see of the student, population. It's just even just in general, like, and you're telling me like what are they? Oh, they're just sitting on their butt, like they're not doing anything. No, they're getting an education. And for what I know of my friends in that community, that it's just like any immigrant community. Say your dads and your dad's friends are all business owners, and they help each other out. They create their own almost like little mini economy. Whether the Vietnamese and the Vietnamese in the restaurants and things like those communities thrive when they come here. And then they build on each other. They have financial services within their own little communities. They have everything that we have. Is just in general working society. They have like a smaller version of, tax preparers. They need tax preparers. Well, who's going to be able to prepare their taxes? Somebody that doesn't speak Somali? No. Somebody that doesn't speak Vietnamese? No. It's going to be somebody that understands it, went out of his way to learn how to prepare taxes. Now they can do tax preparation. And then you got people that, they might send money home. They might do all this stuff. Some of these communities are the most like innovative and the ones that like can actually survive. And sure, you say, well, some of them are on welfare. They got 8 kids yeah, but they're all living under one house. They're living under one, grandma, their whole extended family's living there. They're saving money this way and that way. Like, and I just don't see that many where they're just like, they come here and they just don't do shit. Every immigrant community I've seen like contributes more than I think it takes away.
Immigrants do a great job,
and I just think it's all of us that grew up in America that are the more apt to be.
You're totally right.
Just give up and just to say, well,
the biggest lowlifes I know are American white kids who are used to their parents worked hard and they don't give a fuck. It's our generation, I guess. Even me. I mean, compared to my dad, I'm a fucking lowlife piece of shit. I can't. Like when he was my age. He was so far ahead of me in everything. You know what I mean? Like, I'm playing fucking Mass Effect all the time. He was working his ass out trying to make a home for his family. He moved to here. He was trying to get a job. He built his house with his bare hands. You know what I mean? I was fucking... I have a YouTube channel. You know what I mean? Like, it's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
And I'm like way better off than a bunch of other people I know that are just complete lowlifes,
I really think it's amazing. Especially right now, another thing that I've noticed in our kind of local economy, all these part-time types of jobs, like pizza shops, delivery, who else is hiring? Just anywhere you think that like a kid that is 19, 20 would work, or somebody that needs a part-time job would work. All these places are hiring right now because I think every pizza shop I've ever seen in existence right now is all hiring at the same time. Gas stations are they're offering like $11.50 an hour plus benefits and all this stuff just to get anybody in there. Everybody's hiring. Like, so that just means that our economy's fortunately making a comeback, but it also means they're desperate. Everybody's competing. If every pizza shop is hiring right now, Devani's, Papa John's, Pizza Man, everybody's we're short staffed at the part time place I work at, and it's just like, wouldn't 10,000 Syrian refugees people could use some bodies? You know what I mean? And that's the thing where it's like all these jobs like that, and some people say like it's low level jobs that nobody wants to do. It's not really that, but it's the fact that these jobs are available and they're we need people to fill them, and nobody's filling them. And some people don't want to work. We've had people that get leave or they get fired because they can't hack it. White American kids or something. They can't hack. They can't hack it.
It's too hard.
Because they're either they have substance abuse problems, or they're just irresponsible, or they never learn. They're just
too busy partying. They can't make it to work on time.
Right. Or they just don't get what it means to hustle. That's the biggest thing I've noticed with a lot of people that I've worked with. And I've never experienced that problem. When I've worked at a couple of restaurants and bars in my life, and we've had every once in a while, a guy that moved here from Guatemala 6 years ago, and he's got kids and stuff, and he's working at the dishwasher at the bar. I've never seen anybody in the bar work harder. Like, everybody works hard, the waitresses are scrambling and stuff, but they all kind of go, well, I need a smoke break or something, right? This dude's like his Energizer Bunny, and never says one thing.
He'll pick up everybody's shift too.
Never hates, never has one of those days. I've never seen in my life, and I haven't seen a whole lot of them, I've never seen an immigrant worker who comes in as like, oh man, I'm hungover, or this day's so busy. Oh, like where people's shoulders droop and they say, man, we got our shit pushed in today at work because it was so busy, and and they just complain about it. I've never seen somebody that does that. And maybe because they don't know how to
Yeah,
do
man,
it. Maybe they don't know the slang in English for saying stuff like that. But then you never see them like get overwhelmed. You never see them collapse under the pressure. And then I see these young college girl waitressing just going like just frazzled because you can't hack it. Meanwhile, this dude's doing trays of dishes. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, back at Umbria, my parents owned that pizza place. I mean, Mexicans were, no question, best workers.
And that's where I just think it's so amazing that like people want to paint politically sometimes, that it's a different story than it really is. It's just
rapists.
So I saw a headline this week that Mexicans, not for like the first time like in a while, more Mexicans are immigrating back to Mexico than that are coming here.
Wow.
We're at like a net loss right now of like 100,000 or something. I don't.
Oh shit!
It was a headline the other day. Excuse me. Yeah, they said more of them are immigrating back to Mexico than are coming in right now. So
we're scaring them off.
That's what some people say. We claim victory that we shut the door on them.
We claim victory.
I think it's just more. They're sick. They're sick of our shit. But I just think people want to paint their simple pictures of what what the truth is. And if you don't know, that's the thing. I think if people don't have experience, that's what I've noticed. The people that don't have experience with other either cultures or even races or ethnicities, whatever you want to talk about.
Sure.
And I'm not here going like, well, I got I got so many black friends, but it's like I've gone to these places, I've eaten at the restaurants, I've been in the communities, I've brushed along with some of these, and those are the observations that I make. Mm-hmm. Like I said, just like that Normandale one is the one that stood out for me, where I just said, wow, these people are hacking it, and that was like a friend pointed out to me one time. He said, you don't see a lot of like African Americans. You see like Africans like going to Normandale, and he meant it as a comment on like Americans are lazy. You see the people that come from other countries, they're the ones trying to get India. They're coming here for education, all that brain drain type of stuff. But what do? The kids that grew up here, the white kids and the black kids and whatever else.
They got mommy and dad's inheritance.
Maybe we'll go to public school if we make it. But
yeah, I'm not saying that I'm perfect or anything, but it's important you have to be mindful of this shit. You got to realize what's going on and. Like,
so I'm not. And
then somebody on Facebook, somebody says, "Hey Alex, why don't you just take 5 or 6 refugee families in your house then?" I'm like, I love how it's got to be 5 or 6. Like, I love how it's got to be 5 or 6, because if they say 1, I might say fine.
Yeah.
No, it's got to be 5 or 6. A totally unreasonable amount of refugees. Like I just love that. I'm like, there's a minimum level of humanity, which is to let them into the country. And then there's a level of compassion you're asking for, like, let them into my house. Yeah. You're not being asked to let 7 refugees in your house. You're asked to just support a party that'll let them into the country and let them fucking fend for themselves. At least they're better off here homeless than in Syria being bombed,
I can't believe that it's all happening. Why don't you let
7 in your house then?
I can't believe that we're just having this conversation now when, we've had, remember, Kosovo, Yugoslavia, kind of the Bosnian Serb war back in the 90s. There's always some sort of turmoil where there's refugees. There's always some sort of issue. And so somehow right now everybody's just conflating this terrorism and it's all becoming one big. To be honest, these people are pussies. That's really how I see it.
They're not. This is the land of the brave. People that all you want to do is hide under the bed and close the door.
And that's what I want. I mean, and I don't really point it out to people, but in the back of my head, that's my opinion. People that are gung ho about fighting and blowing things up.
Get your own gun for your self defense. It's easy here. And then just, have your gun under your pillow. And then trust the law enforcement and ridiculous American military.
Why do you have a gun under your pillow? Because you're fucking scared.
Well, you're scared there too, but at least,
that's where all this to me stems from. And this is gonna be me being an asshole, but since we do it on this show.
Be an asshole.
We just, again, I might get a little flack for this, and I probably should, but when I look at like a lot of just Republican arguments, it all, so much of it stems from fear. It's all fear based. It's all fear mongering. It's all, Black Lives Matter. Well, these thugs on the street, they could be killing our cops. It's just, everything is just, they're so afraid of everything that's outside their door. And sometimes it's, rightly so to be concerned with the stability of society. That's one thing. But it's another thing to be all across the board just being, they could be terrorists and all this and all that. Sometimes you just got to deal with the fact that, shit's gonna happen, man, and you do your best you can, but you don't start making databases to register people.
That's half of the
and you
break.
don't start banning them from being president, or that stuff is, to me, all that stands out. And that isn't, again, there's a lot of sane, rational people, I think, that don't get the microphone. It's usually the crazies,
right?
But the fact that the craziest is polling at the top of like the GOP right now, that's amazing to me. And I'm almost wishing that we had Mitt Romney running for president, just because I haven't found one of these people in the GOP even that is like a sane person. And I don't know if they're trying to play to get voters, or just thinking that's what they want to hear, or if they actually believe it. But if they actually believe it, then they're just, Donald Trump's scared for his life. All these people are just scared of terrorism. They're scared of ISIS, which is exactly what terrorism is. And so from my standpoint, I go, yeah, terrorism sucks. Let's fight it rationally. But holy crap, you don't start, even the Patriot Act I thought was extreme back in the day. That was fear. Everything's fear. Take off your shoes at the airport. We're scared. Now you can't have, you can only have clear bags to go to the Gopher games at the stadium because they had the suicide bomber in Paris. So now the NFL has had a policy on bags that you can't have like purses.
Clear bags?
You have to have a clear bag now. At all NFL stadiums, you can't be within 2 blocks and wearing a backpack.
Women can't have purses?
I can't walk.
Women can't have a purse?
Women can't have purses anymore. They have to use a clear bag.
Wow.
This was like a year
ago. How long
ago.
Until everybody has got to be naked at the games?
100%
nudity.
Well, here's the thing. If I go to a Gopher game next week and don't bring that bag or whatever, I'll still be able to get the flask in like I normally do when I put it down the front of my waistband, because they don't grab your junk. And you're telling me when the Russian, I'll just really blow off topic here, when the Russian plane, they say it got taken down, or at least ISIS claims, they put a picture up. When that Russian plane blew up in Egypt the other day, they put a picture of like a pop can bomb, like a soda can bomb. They showed this with there's like a fuse connector to it, right? Just like this Mountain Dew can. And they said that was what took down the plane. That was their explosive. Well, there you go. You fit that down the front of your pants. So what's this clear?
It's not, you can't
it's just to make people not scared.
The thing is, all the precautions we take to stop bombs, the bombers are going to be the people who are, they're going to, and the people who are doing the checking are degenerates. They're the worst of us. You know what I mean? The TSA balloon heads who don't give a fuck do it. They do it 500 times a day. Mm-hmm. On the 500th time, you're going to tell me they're doing a fucking act. Oh yeah, okay, whatever. Just fucking
exactly,
go.
Yeah.
You'll get in. You know what I mean? At some point, the threat is real. You could have a bomb.
Absolutely.
But most of the time, getting hit by lightning is real. You can get hit by lightning anytime you drive in the rain.
Getting hit by a drunk driver is even more real than either of those.
You gotta live your fucking life. We gotta just accept the risk of life,
right,
which is a bomber, and do our best. But our best can't be sacrificing everything we believe in.
Exactly. And there's people that are out there right now that are jumping to that argument of giving up everything that I was taught that America was all about, mm-hmm, which was like these civil liberties are above and beyond being fucking terrorized and being hysterical about what's actually, the risks out there, and shutting things down and becoming a police state and doing all these things just so we don't have a terrorist attack. No, you got to find that middle ground where you can walk outside your door without being so
life is
concerned.
Risk. Life is risk.
So I'm against better safe than sorry. But again, to say that, people will say, "Whoa, you'll be sorry as soon as something happens." Well, yeah, I don't know how to make that argument. You feel like you're always off the position when people come back at you with that. But again, it's just accept the risks as they are, but also believe in the freedoms that we have. I guess to me, for some reason, I still believe in that stuff. I don't get thrown off that game. But I'm a hippie liberal or something. But
hippie liberal. So there's this. I have this blog put up, and I will post it in our thing. But it's the title of the blog post is, "This photographer captures sites where Syrian refugee children sleep, and it will break your heart." Did you see this? I posted it on Facebook. I reposted it. Somebody else posted it on Facebook. I reposted it. It's a series of photographs of Syrian children sleeping in ditches, forests, streets. On the street, just on the pavement, in hospitals. And below each photograph is the story of these people, these kids and their parents. And I'm not ashamed to say that I cried when I read this. I absolutely got halfway through and I was in tears reading this. And I showed this, and then I was wrestling with, should I show this to my wife or not? Because I know that she's just completely break down when she sees it, Mm-hmm. And this leads me into my kind of philosophical discussion. If I know, I want to show this to you, And I know it's going to upset you deeply when you read this. It's going to really hurt you a lot because this is the most upsetting shit you've ever seen because they're kids. And they might die tomorrow and their parents have to watch that happen. Mm-hmm. And it's the saddest part of humanity is happening here.
They could be terrorists though.
There could be. But all that joking aside, should I show this to my wife if I know it'll just make her super devastated? And the question is, does her sadness about this topic, does that contribute to some sort of karmic price that we pay for being the way we are? Like, does her sadness somehow contribute in some greater way to like humanity, and does it redeem us in some way? You know, like, does she owe it to the universe to be upset to this? You know, do I owe it to the universe to read this and be upset? And this idea came to me from veganism and from animal rights, where even to this day, when I see somebody post like what really happens at dairy farms, I know exactly what that video is going to be. You know what I mean? I know what it's going to be, and I know that if I watch that, it's going to upset me for many days from that point on. I'm going to have nightmares about what I saw in that video. I know that before I watch it, but I will still watch that fucking video. You know, I'll watch it because I feel like I have to make myself feel bad for that because I contributed to that shit for the years that I did.
Oh, okay, seriously.
That's the penance I have to pay, you know, for being a human being who did it. You know, like if I was, you know, it's like if I got away with a crime when I was young. You know, like I committed a crime and I got away with it and nobody caught me, and now I have that with me, and I have to. Now that I know that I've committed a wrong when I was a kid and nobody got me, like I killed my neighbor. You know, and nobody caught me. And now I'm an adult, and I got to think back on the way that I killed my neighbor, and I have to think about it. And I go to his grave, and I visit his grave, and, you know, say I'm sorry for killing him. Does that make a difference? You know, like, is there a point to that?
No.
Well, I mean, not physically.
I don't think
so. Should I not show this?
Well,
should you not look at this?
Let's start this. If we're going to talk about karma,
yeah,
karma is a thing that to me I'm an anti-karma.
Anti-karma.
There's a lot of people that go, "That's karma for you," or "Karma's a bitch," or something, or they even believe that their actions, like they're worried about an actual, like karma will come back to even it out in their lifetime. I don't believe in that at all.
You don't believe in karma?
I think it's a silly idea.
You don't believe there's fairness?
That's what that is people wishing that the universe has some sort of control. You know, it's almost like that somehow like karma is like an energy, and like if you take energy away somewhere else, it has to pop up.
I mean, that's exactly what it is.
They think it's some sort of balance. So like anything good or bad. But the problem is that goes back to the relativism that I believe in with right and wrong. Because I think these actions are neutral to the universe. These kids sleeping on the street is neutral to the universe. Those cows dying at Daily Farm, the universe, cold as ice, I don't care. You know, it's just, that's what happened. Volcano comes down, wipes us all out. Universe, universe isn't gonna say, well, I owe it to start humanity on some other planet because these guys got wrecked. Yeah, universe doesn't care. So to me, there's no karma because
that's fair. Yeah, I mean I don't believe in karma.
I could fire you and you go, you know, and I could call you an asshole when you leave, and you say, well, karma will come. Like I'll get a break. I'll catch a break down the road.
I mean, you know, karma's it's you know, believe in it, whatever. It's a concept that I use as an example.
So, but
the question
is
really
this a real thing? Is this a real philosophy topic as far as like the title of like karma? What do you call it?
Karma price?
Karma price.
I've heard that before. It's not a real thing that I know beyond just...
So we could be talking more about like your conscience. Like, do you
I mean, this is all this is your conscience. Like, I read this and this makes me... I mean, this is educational in that I get to... You put a face to the refugees and you see what they look like, you know, and some of them. They're not all terrorists. They're kids, you know. But it's just like... When I see this headline, like, I'm already on there. I'm already on board. You know what I mean? I'm drinking the Kool-Aid of let the refugees in. You know, like I'm already I'm vegan already. So for me to watch these horrific videos of cruelty, it does nothing. You know what I mean? It only affects me negatively.
So in some sense, you're kind of like, if these kids are sleeping on the street and you walk by, you know, there's people that say, like, you might say, I'm not going to look at this kid. And then there's people that will force themselves to look at the kid, to acknowledge something about it, about the human users. You're basically saying, I need to look at this to acknowledge it.
I'm asking if you think that do you think that this, like a post like this, should be spread around just because, even though no change can be made, but the sadness it creates is that somehow it's kind of like, what is justice? You know, What is justice? Like, if there's a way to make people feel horrible as a punishment?
Right. Well, I don't know if it's a punishment. The utility of this, that I would say, is that if it changes public opinion on a policy or on our attitude towards something, then it has some worth. Outside of that, I just kind of think it's like compassion porn. Like where some people will just say like, oh, like there's people that like to see cute puppies and cute stuff.
Forget people. You know this headline's title. You're already drinking the Kool-Aid. Let the refugees in. Do you feel like you have to look at these and read these stories, or even though you know it's going to make you feel terrible? Or would you just skip this post and go, you know what, I don't need that in my life right now. I have done enough.
I don't know if I grasp like what.
I feel compelled. Like, I don't know. I mean, I can't explain the feeling I have. I feel compelled to punish myself by reading this.
I see. No, I don't feel that. I think these are, I want to say it's more related to psychology and maybe clickbait than it is like what you're going at. And what you're going at, I think, is a deeper decision and deeper analysis of kind of things like this. I don't see it the same way. I wouldn't look, if I looked at it, it'd be out of curiosity. It would just be like if you go on the internet and you see like car accidents, or you go to NASCAR to see the accidents. It's kind of like, or you watch hockey for the hockey fights, you know what I mean? Or you look up hockey fight videos, you look up anything where it's just kind of like you're gawking to gawk. And I think a lot of that drives this more than your idea. And I feel like if I looked at it, yeah, I'd like to see the play. In some parts of the day, I might be curious to see like what they're up to. But at the same time, I don't think it would influence my decision making in a way. I don't think I owe it to like to stare at these kids and to say, you know what I mean, to spend. It's like just like I don't feel like I have to go down and just stare at like kids having cancer in the hospital to like somehow feel more connected to like that negativity. It's just I think I don't think that's a thing for me. I guess I don't know how else to really explain it. I haven't dug into it like you have.
I haven't.
I don't think it's something that's necessary.
Something that's been, it's something that's been in my mind for a while. Like,
I get where you're going. I just don't think it has like some sort of influence on anything except for yourself. I think it's personal.
Well, I mean, 100%. That's what I'm saying.
But I don't think that like it makes up for something in the world, like a greater, like some sort of greater good that you looked at it.
I feel that it does.
Like, how would you like how? What are you connecting to?
I feel that if humanity is one organism, then me feeling sadness for the damage we've done is like a pain that's a punishment to humanity.
That's hippie bullshit to me.
That's how I feel.
Like that's like Mother Earth. Like you're connected to Mother
Earth.
That? Yeah, that's like spiritual. I'm not very spiritual. Kind of it's almost like saying, well, Mother Earth has a soul, and we're all connected to that soul, and it just gets really conceptual. And me and Malone would probably be opposite of that opinion. I would assume he seems like the same kind of.
I feel like Malone's in this podcast. You bring him up so many times.
I know. I miss him. I miss him so much. Usually, because the funny thing about Malone,
make sure he listens to this one.
The funny thing about Malone that I like is like he won't speak a lot, but when he speaks, he has it all in order. And I am a rambler. I'm not good at throwing ideas out in a great way as I'm doing right now on purpose. But that's what I like about Malone. He'll say whatever I'm thinking in 3 sentences, and I'll spend 20 minutes ranting once.
Okay.
But I miss him, and I miss him because he usually, he agrees with me, and I agree with him. That's fun sometimes.
Those are real bros.
Real bros.
Well, I'm curious if anybody else has an opinion on this. It's most tangible to me when it's animal cruelty footage, which I always watch when it appears.
Well, I've done that. I've looked at, like, I've seen the videos. They used to play it on the Metro Access channel, but they play, pigs at some slaughterhouse or something. You just kind of see, like, the abuse and the torture and things like that. And some of it, like, if you haven't seen it, I think it would be wise. You should tell yourself, I should watch this.
You should definitely.
But once you understand that side of it, I don't think you need to like force yourself to torture yourself.
Well, I mean, I would say that if you're,
I think that would even bias you.
If you're not vegan, you should watch it every time before dinner. You know what I mean?
I mean, would you?
That you should, because if it's hard for you if you lose your appetite watching it, then fuck you very much. Eat a broccoli.
Like, what if somebody what if you just captured on your GoPro like somebody kicking your dog one time? Like, would you sit down every year and make sure you like watch your dog get kicked again for some sort of penance? Like, that's not even. It is though. Well, like, but I'm just saying once you understand,
it's not even close to comparable.
It is, but no, I'm just saying once you understand this problem exists or that animal cruelty exists, why do you feel that you have to continue?
If you've
to
taken
expose yourself.
Well, I mean, the question is if you've done the best you can to if you haven't made a change in your life, then watch it until you do. You know what I mean? Like if you can look at this and still say keep the Syrians out, then keep fucking looking at this until you learn to be a better human being. Is what I would say. The question, I mean, that's easy for me. If you avoid all the compassion and you're like you just in your mind imagine terrorists or whatever, then yeah, it's easy for you to keep your fucking standpoint of keep the Syrians out. They're all terrorists. It's when you look at the kids crying, then you can finally open your heart to go, wait a minute, maybe they're not all fucking terrorists. The question is, once you already are on board, should you still continue to look at it?
I don't.
I mean, the answer could be no. I mean, I'm just saying that's like, why do I feel compelled to watch cows be killed, even though I would never eat a cow again? I still feel like that pays some price to the cow. There's some kind of a, sympathy that I'm giving.
I think you're just being righteous.
It makes me feel better.
It makes you feel better that you somehow like,
it's a sense of self punishment, self justice.
I think it's almost self hating. It's not so much self hating, but like it's like human. It's the only other reference I have is the comedians. It's self hating Jew stereotypes that the comedians always have, but it's that, but it's like you're a human. Like you just like, us humans are so dirty. Like it's almost masochistic.
I mean,
like I'm so bad. We're so bad at this. Like, and then you feel like you somehow like spend a night in jail or something. Like it doesn't make up for that cow. It doesn't do anything. I don't think it contributes anything unless you prevent another cow, which you do, and that's all you have to do is actual real tangible things. I don't think, and that's fine if you want to do that, but I just don't think it has a contribution. There are people that do that for I think a lot of things where they just some people like watching sad movies just because they want to feel that sadness. Some people listen to the music, but I don't think exposing yourself to it somehow benefits in any way.
Not in a karmic sense.
Not in a karmic sense.
You don't believe in that.
I don't believe in the karma, but just not even in the karmic sense where you somehow made up, like you somehow like gained a little ground back for watching. I think it's like people that go to a public execution, like they're just you're just gawking at that point.
That's your reason for doing it. If you really hate to see people get killed and you go to a public execution, that's more meaningful than going to gawk.
It sounds like it has more to do with you than really. I don't think the guy being hanged is like, well, it's great that you're here and paying.
You're definitely
the guy would rather not be hanged.
You're definitely right about that.
I think it's too little, too late. On some of those.
It's a self-inflicted punishment. And what's the crime? That's the kind of the question.
I'm on the fence about kind of the emotional. I've done a lot kind of as I've grown up to try to become not less emotional, but to be able to kind of keep it together in situations like that where I can watch things and be kind of driven to tears, watch sad, even sad movies or something like you. Braveheart's a good one. Saving Private Ryan gets me at the end.
Right.
Even Best of the Best though at the end.
Oh man, that movie's so good.
Yeah, but those are like those are things. Those are movies. Those are fake. This is real life. And this and it'd be perfectly okay to get emotional here. But it's one thing to say to get emotional. It's another thing to like then let that make your decision for you. Because I think you don't have to be emotional to make the correct decision.
You're making the decision's not that's not part of my philosophy. The decision's been made at this point. Like I know my wife is with the refugees. I'm with the refugees.
Then I don't think you need to.
I could just ignore this and not look at it.
Yeah, I'm trying to I don't think it's in that sense. It sounds like it would be borderline like exploitative. How do you?
I'm gonna post this. So you guys can look at it.
Everybody can look at it. But I just think
if you're against the refugees and you look at these kids and you could still say that you should keep them out, then you're a really strong person. You're the strongest of us Americans for fighting the terrorists by letting the kids starve to death.
But then you just sound like the anti-abortion people when they're posting, fetus, my heartbeat and stuff.
Well, the difference there though is the pro-abortion people get to say that baby's not fully formed. These are babies that are humans. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying playing the kids card. a human should be a human. We shouldn't be. We have this psychological, weakness for.
I mean,
for
that's
kids.
I think that's it's accurate though. Kids are innocent. You can a child can't be a terrorist. An adult man, if you show a bunch of adult men that are sad, well, at least 2 of those are terrorists. It's easy. When you show a bunch of little girls, sleeping with teddy bears, they're not terrorists. Those are innocent children. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's playing the kid card, but it's a real card. The kids are really there. They're not fake.
But the comeback would be, you can't just go out and save everybody. You can't save all. There's people that want to save all the animals, and then they end up with 20 cats, and animal protection coming out and clearing out their house that's full of cat poop because they couldn't handle it all. Because they're broke and they spend all their money on cat. I mean, there's a point where you have to make a decision to say, this is as much as I can do reasonably.
Wow. There's
a lot of kids in Africa that remember think about the African commercials.
Yeah,
little kid with flies buzzing around him. Like we go, oh, flies buzzing around. You know what? Humans that you go out and you have mosquitoes here. What if we had kids in Minnesota with little mosquitoes on them? Would like people elsewhere be like, I'm so
you're
compassionate.
Sounding dangerously like one of the anti keep the gates closed kind of guys.
All I'm saying is that there's a point. There's not. Oh my god. There's a point when you just got to be realistic, and it's not just emotion. If we ran everything by emotion,
here's what's realistic: is let them into the country. Mm-hmm. That's realistic.
10,000, sure.
Yep,
we've got plenty of room for that. I have jobs waiting. I'll recommend them.
As long as they can get a driver's license.
No, not even. They just work in the shop. If they know, they can learn this stuff.
Easy peasy.
If idiot kids that are
drugged out
half the time, or half asleep,
You're
that's the thing. Have you worked at the pizza shop? I don't think I've ever worked at a pizza shop.
I put in some time.
That wasn't like. I've never worked at a pizza shop that wasn't like half influenced by like drugs or had some connection to like illicit substances. Usually nothing heavy, but I just think it's so funny, just I think about all the different industries or like the bars or something like that. Like how many alcoholics work at bars and how many, we act like everything's fine. But yeah, kids are probably high out of their brain when they're making your pizza, but pizza tastes good, right? So
pizza's fine.
America still works. People are on drugs. It's fine. Washington's still alive. Colorado is still functioning.
Colorado's killing it.
Right? They're making a lot of money on that stuff.
They don't know what to do with the money they're making.
They don't. That's amazing.
They're making so much fucking money. I'm waiting for the headline. Colorado just stops taxing income. Mm-hmm. They straight up cut income tax. They're making too much fucking money.
Didn't they talk about like giving a rebate to people, almost like a North Dakota oil check? Like they're starting to they'll be cutting weed checks to people. So there'll be free. It'll be free education. I bet that's what they'll go for. They'll go for like free higher education.
They should do that.
It'll be nuts.
They should do that.
And then other states to keep up, they'll have to do it. They'll have to like also legalize it.
I think I honestly think it'd be great. Should we change gears?
Yeah.
Should we talk about the Minneapolis riots?
Oh man, I don't know.
Is it too bogged down?
I don't know if we're really getting down.
It's too serious here.
I feel like that's still got a little bit more to play out yet.
Okay.
All right. Just because we're still waiting.
We'll leave it and go.
That's just it's a repeat of things that have happened elsewhere. There's not a lot different to the story. It's a different.
I do. I do want to say one thing where I've actually flipped a lot lately in my life.
Uh-oh.
I've done a lot of flipping on my the way I see the world. A lot, I kind of, and I didn't really flip on abortion yet, but I'm
flipped it from fake conservative, now you're fake liberal, or what's?
Kinda, I'm still I still hate government programs, and I still hate the government, and still think they can't do anything right.
Sure.
But I'm a lot more kind of anti-racism now than I used to be. I mean, I was always anti-racism, but I kind of didn't think it was that big of a deal, and now I'm more thinking it is a big deal.
Well, no, that's the thing. That's what's amazing about this. It's almost like. I think a lot of times people don't understand that the more that they want to give their opinion, the more they're just backing up. For a long time, there was people that would claim, and they'd get laughed at. They'd claim that there's still racism in America, and and that we still have we have a lot of issues, and there's a lot of things going on. And people go, we've had affirmative action, we have all these things, we have black president, whatever other stupid. But they, even me thought that there's a lot of people that in our generation that I thought, you can at least don't step on toes. We're not doing the stuff like back in the day where people are being violent and things like that. But then as soon as some of these issues come up, people feel compelled, because it's America and you have social media, they're compelled to give their opinion. And so now all these new opinions are coming out, which are racist as fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going and I'm just looking around going like, this is incredible. I cannot believe everybody's coming out of the woodwork. And if they were smart, they'd continue to keep their mouth shut. But they're thinking because the other side's getting loud, saying everyone's racist, they have to come out and like defend it. And they just sound even more racist. And now you have, and then what's crazy about that is then you have, it almost builds its little cycle here where we're going to end up going back to like the GOP primaries, but like you have a guy like Trump leading the way, saying some outrageous ass shit. But what you have is you have people that are getting ripped on by Black Lives Matter, by these protests, by the social justice things that are going on. They're feeling so amped up to defend themselves or to counterclaim or do whatever they want to do, that as soon as Donald Trump started saying the stuff he said, they said yes, and they leaped to his defense or leaped to his support, because this guy in power is finally saying something that I agree with, my opinions, which used to be things you only said around other white people or even at the within your own house.
Man.
And so now it's built into like a political movement, and now people are actually supporting it, and that's the more people that support it, the more you see how many people are still thinking these, and
it becomes okay to support it, and
exactly.
then they all come out of
the woodwork, and it's like the trick's on you because now you're just exposing yourself. And so I think that a lot of people, and obviously you're going to have people like that if there's enough of them, you can't overcome it. But it shows everybody else that's on the fence how batshit insane people still are,
man,
and how many of them there are.
Some of the shit Trump has been saying lately is, and people are cheering. I get Donald Trump says crazy shit. Fine.
But people are cheering.
But there's like audiences.
Unabashedly.
Like, yes! Put them all in a database. Make them wear a fucking symbol on their arm that shows that they're Muslim. Like, oh. You're like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Like, we fought a war about this. We were on the winning side of that war. We were on the good side. Now we're on the fucking bad side. If you wanted to know how the Holocaust happened, watch what happens. Right. Watch Donald Trump become president, and all of a sudden Muslims are the new Jews, and they're in America. Like, what the fuck is going on? It's not even a joke.
And that's the thing. What's amazing about this, to me at least, is that people we look back on Germany, and we didn't study too hard. We learned about certain steps that the Germans took.
What we learned in school?
Yeah. I mean, okay. Also, this event happened, and then the Kristallnacht. All these big steps that were big incidents that were really organized and stuff. So we look at today and we say, oh, Donald Trump said a few things. It's nothing. You can't compare that to the Nazis because they were organized and stuff. But I bet if you go back and you look at that, it all started it was just, at first they were just like, oh, the Jews, they just they made jokes about them, and they they said, oh, they're greedy or this or that. But then it builds into a little bit more hatred, a little bit more loathing, and we're at a point now where you look at it and you go, man, Donald Trump's an idiot. But the problem is, this is not different than how it works. This is exactly how it works. When they say the poem, first they came for the Jews, and I didn't say anything.
Imagine.
We are a long way. I'm just going to finish this thought. We are a long way from killing, murdering Muslims in camps and doing, we're a long way from that. But the problem is, you have to know what direction certain statements go in and why they get that. And we think, well, nowadays it's because we're just trying to be safe. What do you think it was back in the day? They were saying that the Jews were the ones that were responsible for all the bad things in German society and the bad economy and all this stuff. It's so comparable today, and it's just these are the first little hints where people want to agree and they say, yep, blame them, do this, and then from there, when that becomes mainstream to say that's okay, then you just keep antagonizing to the point where then you have the databases and you have people, doing, attacking mosques. You have people it becomes violent. People it's not Donald Trump that's going to get violent first. It'll be people. It'll be vigilante idiots.
Like the ones that beat that black guy up at Donald Trump's
rally today. And it's just, there's a few of them. I bet not everybody there would have kicked the guy if he's there. But there are a few people that get so amped up, they get so mad, and they're just normal citizens that are idiots like you and me, and they can't help themselves. They go, oh, I take a kick at that guy, because they're surrounded by their comfort zone. They're surrounded by people they know. Like, no one's gonna. There's people that'll cover for them. There'll people that'll sneak them out, just like your buddies at a bar. You ever see people in a bar fight? There's so many people you go, well, you got in a bar fight and you didn't get arrested for assault. They didn't stop you. No, because you got the fuck out of there. As soon as you deck the guy a couple times, your friends are like, okay, we gotta get out of here. Same thing. People protecting themselves. You go to a rally, you kick the black guy, you'll probably sneak out the back door, nobody even know. And people have to understand that this is like, the monolithic Nazi German thing back in the day, we've painted it as such a caricature.
Like that'll never happen again. It's
that'll never happen
insane
because that's so insane. But no, this is it's
happening. Yeah,
it's just like this, and this may not go anywhere, and it probably won't because I think we're a sane society.
I hope so.
But the fact is, you can't sit there and say, well, somebody gave Donald Trump gotcha questions. You know, when they asked him about putting people on a database, that was a reporter that brought it up, not Donald Trump. Well, as a president, you have to understand that if somebody comes to you and says, hey, should we shoot all the Muslims in the head because they're terrorists? And, you know, and Donald Trump goes, yeah, they are all terrorists. We should shoot them in the head. You got to know. Don't say that.
Don't say that.
Don't answer that. You don't say that answer. You don't just say, well, he got me with a gotcha question.
He got me. It's not
fair.
He
asked me if we should punch all the every black person in the face, and I said, yeah, it was a trick. No, it's not a trick.
I like how if any political person says nigger, that's a huge deal, and it should be. But if he says we should close all the mosques down and put all the Muslims in a database, that is like that's not uproarious. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is it? What are you doing? You know, like, right. I mean, that is way more offensive than using a word.
Right.
They shouldn't do either one. But like, there should be that should be political suicide to say something so fucking anti-freedom as close all mosques and put all one type of people into a database.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane.
It just to even explore that road and just say, again, better safe than sorry that we just do. It's just.
And then Fox News over there, Trump comes with a great plan with
it's
how to control terrorism.
Well, even when they say it's for their own good, like those are arguments that have been made. Like we're only what are we, 60 years, 70 years separate, away from, I guess 80 now almost, from what that was, and it was the same thing where people just say, well, it's just different, it's just for this or it's for that, and they kind of talk themselves into it, and you just have to understand, that it's patently wrong, it's patently against Constitution, all these other things. It's just so ludicrous. But then people they justify it. They can always say, well, no, we're just doing it for a little bit, or the Patriot Act will run out in 4 years. Oh yeah, and then we keep renewing it. I mean, once you start,
the thing about
how are you going to stop? How are you going to wind that down? How are you going to take? You're going to delete the database?
Cannot.
Good luck.
The thing about anything government does is it's unreversible. That's one thing. That's one thing I've kind of learned, and that's what I oppose. Any extra government control. It's irreversible.
Because if you have the support to get it passed in the first place, you usually need a lot of freaking support to get it passed. Well, then now you have to erode that support and reverse it to the point of being so much support to overturn something. Because once they pass
once you get a new law or a new program, it's never going away. So you got to be really careful what you put in place.
So the Fourth Reich, as they're saying,
the Fourth Reich.
That's it. I just don't know. I mean, how far? That's what's amazing to me. And I laugh, but I feel safe because I'm white and I don't have to worry about shit.
Yeah.
So I laugh at it. Kind of going like, wow, what a time to be alive, like to see this shit. But really, how far? I mean, he really, I'm surprised how far Trump has gone. Because he said some things at the beginning and everybody kind of goes, whoa, he's kind of out there. He keeps going. Where does it end?
Him saying ridiculous shit as like a joke is fine. But the thing is, he's a fucking leading.
He's leading, or like, he's first or second, but then he's got people paying money, going to his rallies. I just, to have that, there's that much support. And even if you say, well, overall it's maybe 6 to 10% of Americans because of the people that don't vote or aren't active or don't poll, whatever. Even if it was 10% of America is as batshit insane as Donald Trump.
Like Ross Perot said ridiculous shit back in the Ross Perot day, but he had 4%. Nobody cared. Ross Perot can't possibly be a president. Donald Trump's leading the Republican side.
And I really feel that's where I really wish. And I've looked and I go, well, what about this Ben Carson guy? I thought about that.
He's a fucking maniac too.
Well, he's ridiculous. So I've written him off. Rand Paul, no welfare for the Syrian. Like, no one to me is just like what used to be. I used to like John McCain before the Sarah Palin thing. When John McCain went up against like George W. Bush, McCain at least understood politics where it's like he'd be the guy making those backroom deals with the Democrats to get shit done, right? He's the guy that tells the lady in Lakeville who comes up on stage and says, I can't vote for Obama because he's an Arab. Because he's because he's a Muslim, and John McCain goes to her and goes, no, ma'am, he's an honest man. You know what I mean? John McCain's the kind of guy at least goes, no, none of this we're not going to talk about this bullshit. We're going to talk about real fucking things. We're not going to let this, think about John McCain versus Donald Trump. Think about what kind of matchup that would be. John McCain would look like a total liberal. But that's why I'm like, I miss the days of like having like just someone sane. Can someone sane pop out of this field? Ted Cruz not sane. Marco Rubio not sane. Jeb Bush, who I thought would get the nomination, looks like a total idiot because now he's starting to say the things these other people say just to kind of like try to stay in it.
Right.
He's out of control. The governor of Indiana, he's out of control.
It's crazy because there's people who are going to vote Republican, period.
Right.
And it's irrelevant who's there. They're voting Republican.
I even believe Mitt Romney that even if he was, his beliefs were different than mine, or he believed that Wall Street's good, or, money and capitalism, whatever it is, at least I knew, like, when he went home, he wasn't railing at the Thanksgiving table, in my opinion. He didn't seem like the guy that would, like, he's not your batshit ranting and raving person. He was just a regular, normal business guy that just was pro-business or whatever else. But there's nobody like that in this field. Everyone that said something just insane. And I cannot believe that there's nobody, not one person that I've seen
I forgot what it was. The whole point of this. The protests in Minneapolis.
That's what it is. We're fucked.
Well, we're fucked. But let me go back to how I changed my views a lot.
Oh, the racism. Okay.
Well, no, it was about so in Minneapolis we had a police shooting. Our fucking hero shot a handcuffed black guy in the head. Whatever.
Allegedly, it's still debated. Okay. We'll find out.
Sure. The handcuffs were found near the scene. They were found near the scene.
Right.
They weren't necessarily on him, but they were found. Anyway, there was a protest on one of our highways over here.
Yep, I-94.
And it really upset a lot of people because people
hate that.
They had to go to work late. It was really irritating for them. Now,
did he come home from work? It was nighttime.
Now here's the thing. This used to be me. I used to be on the side of, if they're going to protest, what is in it for them to upset everybody else in the neighborhood by making them late to work, blocking their road, making everybody mad at the protesters? Mm-hmm. What do they gain from that? If they want to protest, why don't they go protest at the police station?
I know the answer. So
this used to be me. I used to say these words I said. I'm wrong. I'm wrong, and I'll tell you exactly why they protest on the road. Because if you get to go home from work and not give a shit about the protest, then you go from work and not give a shit about the protest. Mm-hmm. You don't give a fuck. In the same way, like, the people say this, a lot of my new changes have come from me being vegan. I'm not like trying to make this a vegan thing, but this is where it came from. Because people tell me a lot, why do you keep getting everybody's face about veganism? It makes them mad. Don't you understand? It makes them upset with you and they don't want to talk to you anymore. I'm like, yeah, I understand that. But the thing is, if I never mention it, they can live their entire life and never once consider that animals deserve compassion.
But here's the thing, like, everybody hates, like, Jehovah's Witnesses and, like, evangelical Christians because they won't shut up about it.
Well, okay.
So, like, basically we're talking about being evangelical. You're saying you need to get in people's face.
Yeah, I am saying that. If you want people to hear you, that's exactly what you got to do. And that's why Jehovah's Witnesses come to your house. Because you're not going to join Jehovah if they don't come to your house. Mm-hmm. Who's ever just woken up one day and go, you know what? I'm going to be a Jehovah's Witness. It's about time. Nobody's ever done that. They got to come to your house and, whatever. Forget Jehovah's Witnesses. The point is, like, I need to get in your face. Because if I didn't get in your face, you'd eat a hamburger every day and never think about it ever. Just like you did up until you met me. You know what I mean? Like, you never think about it. And then if cops never shot your family, you could go home from work and go to work and go home from work and, I hear there's some rioting going on, but I don't give a fuck. My cousin didn't die.
The police said it was justified, and I'm not worried about it.
But once they stop your road and you got to go complain about it and you're irritated by it, at least maybe you won't drink their Kool-Aid and you won't like join their squad, but at least for a second you can feel the discomfort that they might be able to feel. And you actually are interactive.
I'll expand on that because a lot of criticism of that is the fact that they say they're not endearing anybody to their cause. They're just making people mad at them. And no one's going to, you're not going to say, wow, you guys are right. I really hate that you disrupted my day, but I'm somehow going to join. Like, I understand that, like, there are going to be people that don't come to their cause. But that's to me, that's being selfish. That's saying, like, you're trying to convince me of something. That's all about them, the person who's driving or on the road. Mm-hmm. Or, you're never going to convince me like that. Too bad for you. Mm-hmm. They're making it about them. It's not about you. Mm-hmm. This is what it's about. It's about showing that every time that there's an incident like this, when it's, for a long time, it's been maybe the family or maybe a couple witnesses say, oh man, I saw it. It was so, wrong. The guy was handcuffed or something. What did they do? They said they made a report to the police or something. The police said, okay, we'll take that into consideration. A few weeks later, they go, we've cleared the officer of any wrongdoing, blah, blah, blah. That was it. There's one side to a story. And maybe they can try to go through the courts, but the courts won't really investigate too hard. And the prosecutors maybe, I'm not going to order a grand jury. It's just I can't trust these witnesses. They got a criminal background. They're liars or whatever, right? Okay, so it isn't about convincing people that that you're right, or that, you know, Black Lives Matter and the cops are totally wrong in this instance. It's not about that. It's about making it so every time somebody discharges their weapon, in this case, someone's going to have the back. The community's going to be fired up and demand and hold the feet to the fire and say, you need to release the video. And even if they say, well, we can't right now because of the ongoing investigation, they're going to continue to demand the release of video until, even if the investigation's over, okay, the investigation's over, release the video. You know, and so basically it's basically saying that you're not going to just define what happened. You're not going to be able to have the one side of the story, which is everyone saying, well, the cops wouldn't lie to us. The cops wouldn't cover anything up. Because they have in the past. And that's what everybody's upset about. Mm-hmm. So this isn't about the traveler. This isn't about telling the guy in 94 that, wow, you really need to support our cause. It's really not. It's about saying that every time you fucking do something like this and you want to have your side of the story, we're going to demand that you have a high burden of proof, which should be necessary, and we're gonna be out here, we're gonna be active to ensure that you satisfy the community's demands for transparency and for justice. Even if the officer's in the right in the way the shooting goes, too many times throughout history, it's been documented that they covered something up, or that a cop lied for another cop.
Even saying in history, like in the last fucking 3 months.
Sure.
You know, I mean, Jesus.
But what I'm saying is, I mean, and we can go back. You can go back to the 60s and the 70s when there's totally different people alive, totally different people in the police force. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. It's been institutionalized where they're going to cover for themselves, like even by default. Even like the guys, when you get in a fight in the bar, they're going to cover for you. So who's going to have the other guy's back? Who's going to say the other side of the story? So it isn't always about convincing people that you're not going to convince.
Yeah, that's true.
It's more about showing that to the institution that you're going to have to prove it. There's no what do you call it? Just kind of like a trust, you know. Oh, well, the cops, they're nice guys, they're good guys, they do the right thing, they save us. This guy was a bad guy, you know. And yeah, this guy in this instance, the EMTs were there because apparently he beat up his girlfriend, or there's some sort of domestic abuse, right? So the EMTs were there, and he was interfering, which that could be videotaping the police from 20 meters away. People have been arrested by police all over the country because they're videotaping them. The cop goes, you can't, you know, you're interfering with police business, and they give them charges for that. That's happened, right? That's a thing. So I don't know what interfering with EMTs or interfering with the police is. Too close? Being asked to step back, sir? No, you're under arrest because you didn't step back across the street. You were interfering? Because that's what they claim, that he was interfering with the EMTs. So we don't know what that means, right? Well, then what happens is...
Gotta get the chest cam footage.
He ends up getting shot. He's unarmed. He ends up getting shot. So now we ended up talking about this for when we said we kind of wouldn't. But so he ends up getting shot, but okay, so he's unarmed, right?
Yeah.
And if there's police on the scene... Are you telling me what happened to cops training? What happened to hand-to-hand combat? What happened to batons? What happened to tasers? What happened to everything else? Why?
Pepper spray, tasers, multiple people just subduing a guy.
And they said, well, and then I think a couple days ago they said, well, the guy reached for his gun. How do you let him get that close? Like,
reach for the cop's gun?
Yeah, he was reaching for the cop's gun.
Oh God!
So here's the thing. But what I'm wondering is that, like, how does that even, like, what the cop really fucked up if it got that far? Where the unarmed man is that, I mean,
it's so close and hostile.
You know, there might be a rare case where somehow this became justified, but to me, an unarmed offender should not end up shot to death.
Well, here's what
when you have police on the scene, and the police that are there's two of them. There are two cops involved in this. And you're telling me two cops can't handle a guy, and the guy, you know, even if he wasn't that big, well, then we have a problem with our cops and their abilities. There's so many things to this where I just say, even if you're interfering with EMTs and you're unarmed, you shouldn't be shot to death in the street. It shouldn't be a resolution unless the cop, like I said, he should be bleeding from.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Like, if the cops were justified in killing this guy, like if he was really if he really went for the gun, show the video. It'll only make the police officers look. Oh my God! Look at the line.
Well, these guys, they don't have body cams right now in Minneapolis.
Okay, right.
They went through a test period, and then that test period's over, and now they're like waiting to see if they're going to deploy. But you know, there's cameras from other angles and cell phone video and ambulance camera and stuff. It's going to be hard to see. But the problem is the fact that there are these questions about this, and so you can't come out and say the cop killed the guy when he was handcuffs because we don't know yet. Some people said that was maybe the case, but witnesses have been flaky. So you basically have to do that where the cops are going to say it was justified. So you almost have to get justice or to make sure everything is on the level. You almost have to take the other side. You almost have to be like a defense attorney and say, you know, my client is innocent, and I'm going to argue why, even if maybe the guy did it or something, right? You just have to come out and say the cops are wrong just to get justice.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's not just like Black Lives Matter or those people know for sure that the cop was wrong, but they almost have to take that position to ensure that someone is taking that position to ensure that the investigation is full and complete. And that's the point we've gotten to. And I don't think people understand that when they're upset with these protesters. They just think, well, this guy deserved it, this guy was a thug, this guy was whatever else, or he attacked the EMTs. To me, that doesn't mean that justifies him being shot to death. No, it justifies him being charged with assault on an EMT, and that's it. But then there's people saying
obstruction of justice is already a crime.
When people say, well, you shouldn't resist, shouldn't do all these things, are you kidding me? That's America. You're saying resisting arrest is grounds for ground for execution by law enforcement.
Right.
That's outrageous. You can't make that argument. So all it is really, I think that it's not so much that you got to hate them for blocking the freeway or anything like that, but you got to understand that for a long period of time, the balance of power has been with law enforcement, and they've been able to. They're the ones that are able behind the scenes to kind of get their story straight. Oh, the officers are on leave for a couple days. We haven't interviewed him yet. We want to let them calm down. Well, no, they're probably going to let them. You can get your story straight. You can think about what am I going to say when I go in there?
Right.
And it's those kind of things that you just say. They should be in, just like a murder suspect or a suspect they bring in. What do? They bring them in right away?
Separate them?
They bring them into the room. They should be doing that with these police officers.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that, they're good guys. And if they did the right thing, that's fine. Put them in the room. What's the special treatment for? Because some people have said, they say, well, you don't know what cops go through every day in the street. Yeah, I don't. But that's not some justification for executing people.
Yep, that's fine.
That's where I'm at with that. That's where I side with. I understand the move is for justice. That's what the protests are for. It's not because they think the cops are totally guilty. They just think that the cops have been guilty enough times and gotten away with it.
We should keep track.
Documented. These are stories that are and yet people still want to say, well, the cops, they wouldn't do that. Why would they do that? And I don't know. I don't know why they would, but people have. So it's to ensure that we need a different set of standards for our police. They need to be held to a high standard. And there's people out there that still argue on Facebook or otherwise that you should give them a break.
Police can do no wrong.
That they should get a break because they keep us safe. And because the people they're working with are bad people. That's not American justice.
For every one good person they shoot at least 5 bad people.
It might happen that way.
And that's a fine ratio.
But that's the thing. Not every bad person deserves to be shot. That's what we've set up in our legal
We should
system.
try not shooting.
Let's try not shooting people. And you got to defend yourself. So there's instances where those cops are justified, but you certainly can't just assume that they're justified because they're cops.
Enough times
it's a tough job.
You're right.
They should be in those interrogation rooms, and they should be interviewed. They should go through all the procedure. And they say, well, they'll just keep them from discharging their weapon. They'll be afraid to shoot their gun.
Great,
good.
You should want to kill people.
Good. Then that's then you're if you're able to keep your finger off the trigger and subdue somebody the other way, maybe you get a black eye because you really had to scuffle with the guy to get him under arrest, right? You risk. Well, then you're what? Then you're a fucking hero.
Then you're a hero.
To be honest,
then you're my fucking hero.
Heroes. They're the guys that
don't shoot.
That don't shoot.
Yep.
They do everything in their power to not have to shoot. And I feel like nowadays, with the people that back them and with the public opinion and stuff, they feel like it's okay to shoot. They're training now. Some of these guys are saying, better safe than sorry, pull the trigger. And that's another problem I have with the better safe than sorry. We need to have a better standard for things. And people are letting people off. It's a tough job. I'm not going to say it's not a tough job, but that doesn't excuse any of that. So.
Should we go to little baby picks?
Little picks.
Did you play Journey to Silius Retro Game Club? You didn't play it.
Oh my God, Journey to Silius.
Look, the game.
Well, here's what happened.
The game sucks.
I didn't play it because you played it, and you messaged me on Facebook and said this game is one of the worst games I think I've ever played. And you're like, I'll never get those hours back in my life from playing this game.
Yep.
The controls are terrible. You try to go up and I'm going sideways, go down. The music, I
never said those things, but
I think you said something to the effect.
The game is bad. It's not fun. I've tried to play it. I gave it a good try, and it sucked. And I'm sorry that I made anybody play that game. I'm sorry.
I'm guessing I'm probably nobody.
It's a bad game. It's not good.
0 out of 1.
0 out of 1.
Whew. Retro Game Club off to a tough start.
Well, Alex Kidd was okay. I didn't hate it.
Yeah, Alex. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
I got a game everybody's gonna like though. Okay. It's called Ninja Spirit.
Best out of 3.
Ninja Spirit on TurboGrafx 16. TurboGrafx. TurboGrafx is a 16-bit console that came out to compete with Sega and Super Nintendo. It did very poorly in America. Almost nobody had it.
I was gonna say I've heard of it, but I
It
couldn't tell you if it was an arcade cabinet.
It did very poorly. I think only 120 games released for it in its lifetime.
That's kind of a lot, though.
I mean, not compared to Nintendo. Super Nintendo had like 580
over the course of like 8-10 years, though.
Well, yeah, but over the course of the whole life of the console, it had 120. So it's 1/5 of what They had very few third-party publishers. It was kind of just did not very good. But it does have some great games. And one of these great games it has is called Ninja Spirit. And it's an arcade port, which I feel like nobody's ever played, the arcade version. But the port is excellent, and it's a ninja game where you're badass ninja with a sword. It's kind of Ninja Gaiden-esque, but very different. Check it out. And we'll talk about it. You're going to check it out. And we're
I'll
talking
check
about
it out this time. I won't listen to anything you say about the game. If it's terrible, I'm going to play it.
I'm going to show it to you today, and you're going to play it.
Have you played it? Have you tested it already?
I've played it.
So you know it's kind of worth
I know it's
exploring.
good.
Okay.
I know it's good, and I think we're going to go with that from now on. So we know that it's
ensure that it's fun for people to play.
Yeah, not necessarily good, but at least playable. I thought Journey to Silius was it was like Mega Man, but minus 10 out of 11. You know what I mean? Like Mega Man's a fun game, and Journey to Silius wishes it was Mega Man, but it just fails on all fronts. It's just a bad game. But Ninja Spirit is great.
Ninja Spirit will do Ninja Spirit.
And then just a quickie. Generally speaking, any game that's about ninjas is awesome. I've played a lot of ninja games in my life, and they're all good.
Were Battletoads, were they ninjas?
No. But that game's good anyway, so even if they were, it's fine. But think about ninja games, Ninja Gaiden, right? Excellent. Excellent game.
You like Shinobi?
Shinobi, great game, absolutely. I play the fuck out of that. Ninja Spirit, awesome. Ninja Crusaders, Super Nintendo, great game. What's the other? There's another Ninja Crusaders, what I just said. It's a Nintendo game. It's a 2-player ninja game. We played it where you turn into like a wolf and shit. It's insane.
Oh, wow.
I mean, every ninja game is just great. So if you know a bad ninja game, let me know what that is, because I'm curious to know about it. Even like back in the fucking days, remember back in school, they had that like karate game where you throw ninja stars. It's like this shitty DOS game.
No,
it was awesome.
That I don't remember. No,
it was
Oregon
awesome.
Trail.
It was awesome. That was a ninja game that was great too. So hey, ninja games, they get in my pick. Ninja Spirit is our retro game called Pick of the Week. Pick of the 2 weeks. You will play it. We'll check it out. Thanks for tuning in to our very political and relevant podcast.
Yeah, we did. We went off the rails. We ranted a little bit today.
I don't think we went off the rails. We were on the rails.
We're on the rails, but we were
on the rails.
We were shoveling coal into that steam engine.
That's right.
That locomotive was flying.
So thanks for coming. Catch us on Twitter and talk to us. And I gotta sneeze. Oh, we'll catch you next time on AVDP.